How's it growing? You know how when a hurricane is on the radar, we don't panic. We don't wait around and hope it misses us. We prep, we get ready just in case. So, with all this talk about a recession, shouldn't we be recession proofing our gardens? And look, I'm not getting political here, but let's get real. Farmers are facing unexpected challenges, including abrupt policy changes, labor shortages, and freezing of crucial promised funding they depend on. All this causes uncertainty that ripples through the entire food system, from global suppliers to your local grocery store. Oh, come on, Stack, don't be so negative. Let's not throw people into a panic, all right? Look, Bo, it's not about panic. It's about being smart. And back to that hurricane analogy, we don't panic, we prep, and hopefully the storm misses us. And a lot of times it does, but it only takes that one that doesn't. The same thing here. If food prices keep climbing, and things get tight, wouldn't it feel better to know that we're more self-sufficient and we're growing real food in our yards? Yeah, I mean, I guess there's no harm in being more self-sufficient, and it's better to be ready and not need it than to need it and not be ready. Exactly. And hey, it's a great way to cut down on the grocery bill either way.
We didn't plan on these tariffs being like they are. We're trying to figure out some direction of what to do.
Haas, some supplier of seeds and garden tools, shared how tariffs have made importing seeds a major challenge.
You and I are going to be better off because we grow our own groceries and we can adjust better than that couple that lives in the suburban area that depends on the grocery store. We're going to see some dramatic increases at the grocery store.
Greg also explained how rising input costs, like fertilizer, are impacting farmers. One day tariffs are up, the next they're rolled back. It's hard to plan around, and when farming inputs and shipping costs swing that much, eventually this will all hit us at the checkout line. So today we're sharing 10 practical ways to recession-proof your garden so you can grow more, spend less, stress way less. So let's dive in. Let's get started with something simple but crucial. Have a plan. Before you plant anything, know what you're planting and why. Start with a list of what your family actually eats. Now, a lot of grocery store staples might grow in our cool season, but won't grow in Florida's summer heat. But you can find great substitutes, and you've got to know your season. In our climate, the big season for annual crops like tomatoes, cabbage, cucumbers, runs from September to May, the cool months. Right, and after that, you're better off growing crops that like the heat. I'm especially excited to share about hardy perennials, plants that you can stick in the ground once and they'll just keep producing year after year. Low maintenance, high nutrition, and no green thumb required. Most of these grow great in raised beds, containers, or in the ground. Now, once you've got your plan, it's time to choose your crops wisely. You want plants that earn their keep. To get the best results with a better harvest, focus on resilient crops that grow easily in your climate. If you're new to gardening in Florida, skip the high-maintenance plants like zucchini and cucumbers. They attract pests and the heat and can be much more difficult to manage. Yeah, you want crops that are disease-resistant, pest-resistant, and can take the heat. Some of our Florida favorites: root crops like arrowroot, cassava, also called yucca. Then there's jicama and turmeric. Don't overlook the tropical spinaches like Lagos spinach, Egyptian spinach, Okinawa spinach, longevity spinach, Malabar spinach, Suriname spinach, Sisu spinach, Katuk, and my personal favorite, chaya. And just to be clear, these are not related to spinach, but they're tasty, packed with nutrition, and easy to grow. Oh, cranberry hibiscus. It's beautiful with a tangy flavor, and in the fall it produces these gorgeous flowers and then reseeds itself for the following year. It's so beautiful and delicious. It's great in salads and smoothies. If you're working with limited space, vertical growers like edible gourds like Bengali squash or young loofah gourds are great options. And don't forget chayote. That thing can cover a fence or trellis in no time and crank out the fruit. Seminole pumpkins are another strong performer. Just keep in mind, it likes to sprawl along the ground and set roots as it goes. Yeah, but it can really take over your yard if you let it. But it makes the best pumpkin pie. It's so good. And to keep pests in check, mix things up, grow a diverse mix of plants, and use companion planting to your advantage. All right, now let's talk seeds. The next step is to think long-term. What can you plant once and save seeds from year after year? It's smart to grow varieties that you can save seeds from and replant season after season. Yeah, but not every seed will give you the same plant twice. Some will come back weird or not at all. That usually happens when you're growing hybrids. Hybrid seeds are bred for a specific trait and great for performance, but not reliable if you're seed saving. So what you get the second time around may be totally different. Why waste your garden space and efforts on that? Good point. Now, if the seed packet says it's a hybrid or marked F1, you'll want to skip that if you're planning on saving seeds. And if it doesn't say hybrid, there's a good chance that it's open pollinated or an heirloom, but it's still worth checking out the source. An heirloom just means that it's an old variety that's been tried and true, passed down, usually very tasty and tough and worth keeping around. Plus, when you're saving seeds from plants that thrive in your garden, you're adapting your own varieties to your microclimate over time. I have two separate storage containers, one for seeds I bought and the other for homegrown seeds. A couple of great ones in Florida: Everglade tomatoes and Seminole pumpkins, as I mentioned. Seminole squash is another name for it. They're both great for this climate. Even though Everglade tomatoes are the easiest tomatoes to grow here, just remember it's much easier to grow any variety of tomato when planted in the fall. But if any tomato is going to make it through Florida's summer, it's going to be this one. And Seed the Stars has a great selection of heat-tolerant, seed-saving varieties, another solid source for best cultivars in Florida, Cody Cove Farm and Nursery. I'll have a link to them and others in the video description. Don't have a big yard, or maybe you're renting and you can't dig up the lawn, you can still grow a lot of food in containers. Containers give you flexibility. You can move them around, control the soil. You can grow in places where in-ground gardening is not an option. We're talking buckets, bins, storage totes, whatever you've got. Just drill some holes in the bottom for drainage and you're good to go. And if you've got a patio, porch, or even a balcony, you've got garden space. Just watch the sunlight and drainage. They're great for greens, herbs, or even root crops like turmeric and ginger. Just make sure to water more often because containers dry out faster, especially if you're using grow bags. Next up, if you're growing in the ground or raised beds, don't plant the same thing in the same spot year after year. Crop rotation is an important practice with many benefits. It helps create a healthier ecosystem and improves the soil quality by adding diversity. Rotating crops also reduces pests and diseases and keeps the soil rich in nutrients, supporting long-term success. It's kind of like musical chairs for vegetables. For example, in our 3 garden beds, you could break down most of what we grow by herbs, leafy greens, and nightshades like tomatoes. In the next growing season, bed number 1 will be primarily herbs, bed 2 will be mainly leafy greens, and in number 3, nightshades. Then I'll grow beans, root crops, and additional herbs and flowers in various places throughout the beds. Stack on a side note, we should mention summer cover crops. So since Florida summers are not ideal for most annual veggies, we plant a mix of summer cover crops instead to keep the soil active, healthy, and add fertility. Exactly. Cover crops help build fertility, suppress weeds, and give your soil a break. If you want to dig deeper into that, check out our cover crop playlist right here on Stacks Urban Harvest. Yeah, crop rotation is not complicated, and it makes a big difference. Speaking of soil, let's talk about the best way to improve it without spending a dime: compost. Composting turns your kitchen and yard scraps into rich, living soil. It adds nutrients, improves water retention, and cuts down on waste. Here's a myth buster. If your compost stinks, you're doing it wrong. A healthy compost will smell earthy. Plus, it's like recycling for your soil. food scraps in and nutrient-rich compost out. I used to run an open compost pile with a tarp and it worked great. These days I use tumblers, which are easy to keep critters out. Whether you have a yard or not, you can do Bokashi composting, which is very simple. Just add food scraps and Bokashi. In 4 to 6 weeks, you'll have usable compost. If you want to learn more, check out our blog posts and videos on effective microbes on stacksurbanharvest.com. With the conventional pile or tumblers, you'll need 4 components. Oxygen, turn the pile to keep it breathing. Moisture, damp like a wrung-out sponge. Greens, food scraps, coffee grounds, and fresh leaves. Browns, dried leaves, cardboard, wood chips. And if it smells bad, that's your compost telling you that it's either too wet or just needs more carbon. Now let's talk water. If you're using unfiltered city water to irrigate your garden, that's an additional expense, and that's not the best for your soil and plant health. One of the best things I've ever added to my garden, rain barrels. I've got 4 of them set around the house, and they've more than paid for themselves. You can collect water from your roof, garage, shed, or house. You can use it to irrigate your garden. You can hook up a drip line or use a watering can like I do. And while I'm watering the garden, I really get a chance to see how the different plants are doing. And there's nothing better than rainwater for your plants. No chlorine or city treatment, just the good stuff. But a quick heads up about what kind of roof you have. It's worth checking out if your roof material might be leaching anything in your runoff. Clay and concrete tiles like ours are usually fine, but some older roofs, especially with asphalt and certain metal coatings, can release toxins that you don't want in your food garden. So you want to do your homework before you set up your system. Make sure you have screens to keep out the mosquitoes, and use a first flush diverter if you want extra peace of mind. So do yourself a favor, and you don't want to ignore this. The screen helps with debris and mosquitoes, but if a raccoon has done its business on your roof, that mess is going straight into the barrel. A first flush diverter helps keep debris from the roof out of your rain barrel. I didn't add one when I installed mine, and honestly, I wish I had. Start with 1 barrel, and a single storm can fill it up fast. All right, let's talk about something every Florida gardener deals with. They show up fast and they come hungry. If you're gardening in Florida, pest pressure is just part of gardening. The good news is that you don't need to reach for pesticides to protect your plants. There are effective ways to minimize pest pressure by working with nature. Dak, this was a tough lesson for you to learn. There was a time when you were not ready to trust Mother Nature, but the most effective and rewarding. First, let's start with the most basic part, and that is growing within season. Growing out of season, such as trying to grow most tomato varieties in our summer heat, invites all kinds of pests and diseases. Secondly, grow a diverse garden. The more plant varieties you have, the harder it is for pests to take over and attract insects like ladybugs, lacewings, parasitic wasps. They're your pest control. Plant stuff like dill, cilantro, fennel, and yarrow to attract those predators. And Stack, tell them about that tough lesson. Some gardeners may not be ready to hear this, and I totally understand. I admit it took me a long time to trust the natural system myself. One of the biggest lessons I learned is that even so-called pests play a role in maintaining balance. Like many beginners, I started using pesticides thinking I could control nature. For the most part, I've learned to step back and let nature take care of itself. The less you interfere, the more in balance you'll see your garden. Trust me. In 2022, I embraced this approach and I noticed a dramatic decrease of whiteflies, aphids, and mealybugs. That experience was such a turning point for me that it inspired me to create a short video series to share what I learned. And there's also that sacrificial or trap plant method. Yes, preferably it's a perennial that you can just let pests do whatever they need to do while predators come and have a great reason to hang out in your garden. And an ideal trap plant for our climate is Solanum torvum. It's what we use to graft eggplant to make eggplant trees. And to see more on that, check out this video. Annuals are great, but if you want long-term return with less effort, you want to grow perennials. Perennial edibles are plants that you put in once and they keep producing for years. Perfect for low-maintenance, recession-proof gardens. And some of them are almost too easy and they'll thrive on neglect. And some of our favorites in Florida, moringa, and a few others that we already mentioned like katuk, chaya, Okinawa spinach, and longevity spinach. They love the heat and don't need much water, and they bounce back after a big trim. They're also nutrient dense. These are not filler plants, they're real food. Yeah, you can use them in stir fries, soups, and smoothies. Most of these you can eat raw, depending on the plant. Just remember, chaya has to be cooked before eating, and it's still my favorite. And once you get a patch growing, you can share cuttings with your friends and neighbors. It's a big return for your small investment. If you want to know why I'm so crazy about chaya, last but not least, this is about community. You don't have to do this alone. Getting connected with other gardeners is one of the best ways to grow your skills and improve your garden. You'll learn faster, swap seeds, share tools, and likely hear about resources that you didn't even know existed. Of course, you can check out your local IFAS Extension Office, Master Gardening Programs, or my favorite Facebook gardening group, South Florida Edible Gardening and Sustainable Living. Stack, full disclosure? Okay, full disclosure, I'm one of the admins of the page, and we have, as of today, over 47,000 members. But wherever you live, you should get connected with your local garden community where you can learn how to get free mulch, compost, or water barrels. It's much easier to find rebate programs for those rain barrels than for something that's free, but it's worth checking into. And if you've got extra space for harvest, you can barter and donate and gain a deeper connection with your local garden community. And I cannot emphasize this part enough, because you really deepen relationships with other gardeners and have seed exchanges, plant exchanges. I'm doing one this afternoon with a person who has become a great friend. Deepening connections with other gardeners is meaningful and so rewarding, because a strong garden is good, but a strong garden community, that's so much better. So whether you're starting small or scaling up, these 10 tips will help you recession-proof your garden so that you can grow more, spend less, and help you stay ahead no matter what the economy does. It's not just about saving money. It's about resilience. It's about peace of mind and knowing where your food comes from. Every step you take in your garden is a step towards self-sufficiency. All the videos and blog posts I've mentioned, you can find links to those in the video description below, including that cover crop playlist. Don't skip it. You ready, Stack? Live regeneratively, and let's grow together.